Hello and welcome to Revitalize Church. We're excited you're able to join us for service today. Here at Revitalize Church, we want to give you a fresh, enjoyable connection to God and a community of people to do life with. Now, as your church family, we'd love to stay connected with you, and the best way that we can stay in touch is through what we call our connection card. Now, if you're visiting us for our in-person service, you can find those connection cards in the worship guide that you received when you came in, or you can scan that QR code on your screen. If you have any prayer requests, at the bottom of those connection cards, there's a spot where you can fill that out so that one of our prayer team members can pray over your specific needs. We're honored to be a part of your church family, and we look forward to connecting with you. Thank you so much for your faithfulness and your generosity in your giving. Hey, if you'd like to give, head over to revitalizechurch.life and click on Give. Or you can scan that QR code on your screen. Now let's take a moment to pray over our tithes and offerings. Father, we love you, we honor you, and we bring our tithe and our offering to you today, being obedient to your word. Father, we know that you will continue to supply every single one of our needs according to your abundant riches and glory in Christ Jesus. We thank you that you will add a blessing to both the giver and what is given right now. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. Take your next step and jump into discovery. Now today, we'll start with step 1 of a 3-part weekly experience designed to help you grow in your relationship with God, connect to the church, and better understand how to reach your full potential in Jesus. Now in step 1, you'll discover God's promises for you, how we've designed our church to help you experience those promises, and you'll also have the opportunity to become a Revitalize member. It all starts at 1 p.m. today. Childcare and snacks are available. Saturday, December 7th is our all church serve day. We'll be serving 4 different ministry partners throughout Kalamazoo. If you haven't already, head over to the lobby and register today. Well, that is all the announcements we have for you today. Before we continue on with more of the service, be sure to silence your cell phones. If you have any questions or would like more information, head over to revitalizechurch.life. Now let's go ahead and continue on with more of the service.
Good morning. Everybody doing all right today? Yeah. Hey, I just want to say I'm very proud of you all for getting up out of bed on this cold Sunday morning, coming out to church and making your voices loud. And come on, somebody. Anybody else happy to be here today? Yeah? All right, so am I. Well, we're going to jump into the message. We're starting a brand new series today called Financial Peace on Earth. And really excited about this. Been wanting to actually bring this series to you for some time now. But I really do believe this is a good season, a good time to do it. We're going to tell you a little bit more about that in just a moment. But before we do, I want to look into the camera and say a big hello to everybody that's joining us online. We're so happy that you're joining with us. Come on, Revitalize. Help me say a big hello. We love you all. And I do want to just do a couple of things to you. You saw in the video that we have our Serve Day, All Church Serve Day next week. We're really excited. Going to be in a few different spots in our city. And there's not really a ton of spots left, actually. But we're encouraging everybody to jump in and to lean in. The gospel mission is already completely full, but we do have some more spots at the nursing home, which is a all-family option. That's actually the only option available for the kids to be a part as well. And so if you're able to be a part of that and you want your kids to serve, that's the best place to go with them. But we'd love for the whole family to be a part. And then also we're going to be at the Tree of Life School ministering, I believe, to the staff and just sharing some blessing and helping them out. Because how many of you know, man, it's hard out there in those streets. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, we're going to be doing that. I'll be a part of that one, I believe. And so if you want to be a part of the serving spot, you be a part of that Tree of Life spot. No, I'm joking. They're all great. But I do want to let you know, all right, Sherry. I do want to let you know, though, that today is the last day to sign up, in case you missed it. And so if you're trying to sign up and you want to be a part of it, please go and do that. We'll have an opportunity for you in the lobby. By the way, did you see the lobby a little bit bigger today, a little expanded? The kids are in their new kid zone. Isn't that good? Come on, that's awesome. And so we're not quite done yet, but we're getting there. And I just want to give a big shout out to the team that was actually here throughout the week. Even on this holiday week, they took time on Black Friday even to get some work. I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? And so anyway, they're doing that. But and then if you have your message notes, or if you came in, you should have received this. Really, this series, I ask us all to pull them out, but I really do believe this series is could be a lifesaver for a lot of us. And so I encourage you, get those message notes that were in this worship guide when you came in, and follow along. Take them home with you. And then the last one is I just want to give a big acknowledgement that Ohio State lost yesterday, everybody. Hey, come on, somebody. All right, got that out of the way. I've been waiting to wear this at church like all year long, all season, and I just thought, you know what? I'll even put some gray pants on just to show like you're on the bottom. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I know we just stopped. I know we just did a whole series on honor, and I'm working on it. Told you, these messages are for me too, everybody. It's not just. And the Lions won. You said, yeah, great, awesome. Yeah. Yes, yeah, I'm super excited. Yeah. You know what? That's a whole nother story, and I'll talk to you. That's a little too sensitive for this large of a crowd. But yeah, I'm excited for them too, as well. Yeah, that was a good Thanksgiving, huh? The Lions actually won on Thanksgiving. That was nice. And yeah, they almost did what they normally do too, right? Which is just, yeah, I'm just saying they did. Anyway, we got to get into this word, y'all. So anyway, this series, I just want to kind of set it up today and kind of maybe even tell you a little bit of what the series isn't. In December, this time of year, I really, my hope is that this is our hope every week, is that I'm bringing something to us, to the church, to our church, that actually works on Monday, that is practical, that helps you every day. I think that is the word. I think it's supposed to be helpful for us every day. It's not just supposed to be head knowledge, but it's supposed to be for practical living as well. And right around December, I think the season of Christmas, I don't know about you, but maybe even leading right up to Thanksgiving, and then like right around this Thanksgiving and then into Christmas, maybe even a New Year, there are some feelings that we probably all deal with, issues that we all deal with throughout the year that just become a little bit more highlighted. We've always kind of been dealing with them, but they just kind of get what's the word? Yeah, you said it. But they kind of get magnified. I like that. I'm a simple man, okay? They get magnified in our life, and it's almost as though it hasn't been there, and all of a sudden it just sprung up on us. But it's been there the whole time. I just think we've been so busy and doing other things, and we've just been putting it down. But then all of a sudden, like you get into like a Christmas season, and things like finances start to become a really big deal when they were probably already a really big deal. In fact, we just came out of an election season where finances was one of the top issues of the day. Even after people were saying, no, it's all good, people said, it don't feel good. And I think as we start to even kind of get into this season of, it's funny, we're celebrating someone's birth, right? Jesus' birth in Christmas. It's supposed to be a birthday. It's the only birthday that we receive gifts to. Like it's kind of funny, right? Like having little kids, you have to train them that on someone's birthday you don't get gifts to. But somehow we haven't figured that one out as adults. And I still like gifts, everybody, even if it's socks. Just give me something. My wife asked me yesterday what you want for Christmas. I said nothing. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, just give me some socks. Like that's all a dad needs. Can I get an amen, dads, right? Because you can't get me what I want anywhere. I want that house paid off. I want the car paid off, right? Like that's... And I think that's kind of, we all kind of deal with this, I think this financial thing, this thing with our finances, and especially right now, it's a big deal. A lot of stress going on, a lot of worry happening, and I want to help us get over that. And this series isn't a series about, in fact, I might disappoint some of you because it's not going to be this practical series of if you do X, Y, and Z, this will get you, balance with your budget, and then you do. It's actually not that kind of a series. It's certainly not a series where I'm going to be talking about if you give, then everything will work. It's not one of those series where you give to the church. We're not doing any of that. It's really a series where I want to help us with our hearts. And the question really that I have is, in the midst of maybe some financial toil or stress or pressure or maybe dis-ease or concern or fear, can we have peace in the middle of it anyway? Like that's really the question that I want, and I think we can, and I want to show us. So for the next 3 weeks, we're going to walk through the Word, and I'm going to help us hopefully have the right kind of heart set. In fact, that's the title of my message, is is to have the right heart set concerning our finances. Because there's all kinds of stuff going on out there, and you hear all the pundits and commentators. They talk about the government needs to do this or we need to do that, and really I think you can't. None of that really matters. Actually, the big stuff if you don't actually solve the small stuff, the personal stuff, really the internal stuff. Anybody know what I'm talking about? And so you got to get to the heart of the matter before. You can do all the external and all that's good, but you can pay off all your credit cards and get completely out of debt and get that surplus, do that snowball. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Anybody taking that financial piece? You can do all that stuff, but if you don't have the right heart about it, you'll actually just end up right in the same spot. It's kind of like it's actually kind of like weight loss. I'm an expert on it because I've read a lot about it, but I haven't really done what I'm supposed to do about it. Anybody? Because if you don't have the right mindset and hearts, if you don't get that really nailed down, you're just going to keep falling back. In fact, I have a pastor friend who recently, about a year ago, had a surgery. I forget the name of it. I can't even say it right. What is it? Gastric bypass. That. And one of the things that he was telling some of us was that it took about 9 months, I think it was, before he could actually have the surgery. So they put him on a diet, and he was losing all this weight. He's like, "Do I still need to do the surgery?" And they were still recommending that he did, but one of the things that he had to do was he had to actually go to counseling. He actually had to go see a therapist and talk through his mental state of being, because they were saying, well, really, this is going to help you on the external and help get you healthy and kind of reset some things in your life. But in order for it to actually work for you, you got to get the mind and the heart right concerning even this area of food and eating. And so he's kind of shared this journey, and I thought, man, maybe I need to see a therapist, and I'm not there yet. But I'm not going to have the surgery either. I'm just going to lose the weight in the name of Jesus. Y'all, you've heard me say it, but I had this goal this year to lose about 20 pounds, and I'm glad to report I only got about 40 more to go. And it was 30 before Thanksgiving, and now it's... So I want to read this, 1 Timothy, Paul speaking, and he says this in chapter 6, verse 6. He says, "But godliness with contentment is great gain." Godliness, contentment is being happy or satisfied with where you are. Regardless of what's going on, I'm satisfied. Like it doesn't mean that I'm not trying to pursue, doesn't mean I'm trying to move forward in life, but I'm satisfied. It's kind of like this reality of, Lord, if you didn't do anything else, and really believe in it, but God, if you didn't do anything else for me, I'm content. Like that's enough. And so Paul's talking about this issue of contentment, and he says, "For we brought nothing into the world, and we can take nothing out of it." Like in other words, we need to have this proper mindset about this area of money. In fact, did you know that the Bible says so? There's over 2,000 verses in the Bible talking about money, and most people, I think a lot of people would think that most of those verses have to do with giving, and actually only about 25% of them have to do with any part of giving. And the other 75% has to do with our mindset about what money has in our play, what money has what its place is in our life. How do we really view it? How do we really handle it? And I think sometimes that's part of the reason we don't talk about it in churches, because if we're honest, we only think about the 25%, but God says a whole lot more about it, because really He doesn't want it to ruin your life. And that's really what Paul's talking to this young pastor about. And he says, so if we have food and clothing, we will be content with that. Anybody ever say that? No, I don't think so. I think you're lying. If you just nodded, yeah, that's me, I think you're lying. I think in the West and in America, that's not hey, I was thinking about this yesterday. We have this saying like life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Like whatever makes me happy, and so I'm not content. Why? Because I need more. I need something better. Anybody know it? Like especially if you have if you're part of that Apple club like me, you just want they're constantly letting you know there's a new one. And you're still paying off the old one, right? They just put it into this plan, and it won't feel like you're paying it off, but you're still paying it off. My daughter was asking me how much an Apple Watch costs the other day, and I didn't want to tell her because I was like, I'm foolish. Like, I can't believe I spent that much money on that. And I'm like, you don't get that. So, but I don't think this is us. If we're honest, I don't think that most of us would just say, hey, just give me food and give me some clothing, and man, I'm good with that. I'm satisfied. No, what kind of food is it going to be? And do we have the right spices on it? Come on, somebody. Like, especially around Thanksgiving, you start thinking that. I do, at least. Some of you are like, I don't know, spices. I don't know what is this? This is salt and pepper. Go a long way, y'all. Anyway, there's more to it than that. I just wanted to give you the basics. Verse 9 says, those who want to get rich, and here's the issue. Those who want to get rich, they fall into temptation, and they get into a trap and into many foolish and harmful desires that plunge people into ruin and destruction. So when we have a contentment issue, and we're constantly trying to pursue more and get more and get more, Paul's saying that the issues that we fall, there's a temptation that we put ourselves in a trap for hurt and for pain, for some foolish and harmful desires, and we get into ruin, and some things start to get destroyed, relationships start to get destroyed. Even our finances, like maybe we were trying to get them better, but we just weren't content with what we had in the moment. And he says, for the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil, and some people, eager for money, have wandered from the faith. And I think this is the issue for a lot of people. They've pierced themselves with a whole bunch of griefs. Like they're just, because they didn't solve this contentment issue and thankful for what the Lord has given them. And yes, there's a stewardship side, and I do believe that the Lord wants to bless people and wants to see an increase in our lives, and I think that is totally a part of the blessing and what the Lord has for us. But when that's all we're focused on, I think we move from this place of what some would say even prosperity. I think we move from a place of prosperity because we haven't got the contentment side, we haven't got the heart thing right, and soon we stop talking about prosperity and stop working on prosperity. And thankful for that, and we move into this place called greed, because we haven't got the contentment side of things. We haven't got the heart. And I just want you to notice he says this in verse 10. He says, "For the love of money." What's the love of money? The love of money means that something internally has gone wrong. Like something in the inside has happened to where I don't see money appropriately anymore. Now I have this love of money, and every decision that I'm making, every conversation I'm having, money comes into it. Anybody know what I'm talking? Like, have you ever talked to somebody where you're just talking, and the whole thing is, what is this going to cost me, or how much can I make from it, or how can I? And then for people that's just all they're after, they even start to manipulate and ruin relationships in their own life, because now they've got this internal issue with money. It's become something that has really wrapped and corrupted them, and now they're under pressure and they're constantly scheming. Anybody know anybody? Don't raise your hand. And so we've got to get control of this. Got to get control of it. It's an internal thing. I debated whether or not to tell you this joke I heard from another pastor. Should I? Should I not? Should I? Yes, I should. Okay. Did you hear about the husband that forgot to give his wife a Christmas gift last year? Did you hear about that? It's pretty funny. So Christmas came around last year, and his wife got all mad because she's seen all these gifts being passed around, and she goes to her husband and she goes, "Hey, man, like, where's my gift? I better see. You know what? I better see something tomorrow morning that goes from 0 to 200 in about 5 seconds." And the husband walked away, and he's like, "Oh man." Just thinking about it. And the next morning she wakes up, she opens up the curtains in her bedroom, she looks down the driveway, and she sees this package with a bow on it. She's a nice little package, and she's like, "Man, I wonder what that is." And she goes down, checks it out, opens up, and it's a bunch of scales. And we haven't heard from that husband ever since, y'all. Yeah, that was really bad, wasn't it? I asked you, you said yes. I wanted to hear it. It wasn't me. I'm still alive, y'all. She's dealing with something external when she should have dealt with something internal, right? And the husband was like, "I'm trying to teach you a lesson here." That's bad. Sorry, I apologize. That's about the funniest thing I'm going to say for the rest of the time because everything else is a little heavy today. So I just want to bring some joy into the room. I was reading through Ecclesiastes even a little bit more even this past week, and I'm noticing something. I was noticing something a little bit more with Ecclesiastes, but I think it's the second chapter of Ecclesiastes. Solomon, he's speaking, and he kind of makes this statement. He kind of outlines kind of his life and some of the things. Basically, he was sharing, like, I've experimented with life, and he said, man, I did everything under the sun that I wanted to. Like if I could buy it, I bought it. If I could take it, I took it. I married X amount of wives, and I mean, he talks about all the servants that he had, all the lands that he had, all the money that he had, and he comes to this conclusion after really basically anything that I desired that would make me happy, I went after it. And he came to this conclusion that really none of it really satisfied. None of it really made him happy. In fact, everybody talks about Ecclesiastes, but you hear this kind of vanity is vanity. It's all vain, right? It's all for nothing. It's all meaningless. And I don't think that's really a depressive statement. I think that's just him coming to a conclusion that I've been trying to go after all these things to satisfy my flesh and to satisfy my eyes, to satisfy this carnal side of me. And he even says, like, I actually had the ability to do it all. Like, what everybody would want to do, I was actually able to do it, and I did it, and no one could stop me. And he said, in the midst of it all, I realized basically there's this still huge hole. And then he shares kind of some of the things that he learned from this process. In fact, he even makes a statement, which I thought was wild. He said, even in the midst of doing all this stupid stuff, all this horrible things that actually didn't help me, but really more hurt me than anything, he says, my wisdom never left me. In other words, I was still able to see it all clearly at the end of it all. And so there's some lessons I think that we can learn. And so I want to kind of help us with this thing. If you're taking notes, you can write this down. So there's a few things that he outlines in actually Ecclesiastes chapter 5 of what he learned when it came to this issue. And here's the first thing. It says, the more I have, the more I want. Like this just, the more I have, actually, the more I want. Like because I haven't got this contentment thing, I actually just want more and more and more. Ecclesiastes 5:10, he says, those who love money will never have enough. Like they'll just never have enough. And then he makes this other statement, and I'm kind of putting it in my own words. He says, the more I have, the less I'm satisfied. So the more I have, the more I want, and then the more I have, the less I'm actually satisfied. He goes on in verse 10, and he says, how meaningless to think that wealth actually brings true happiness. And so I can have all this stuff, but I'm still missing something. And then the kind of this third thing that he acknowledges is the more I have, come on, parents, the more others want. The more I have, it's funny how that happens. In verse 11, he says, the more you have, the more people come to help you spend it. Like, I don't know how that happens, but ended up obtaining more, and then all of a sudden, people just come out of nowhere, or just needs arise suddenly right around you, and they just come and help you spend it. And then the more I have, the more I realize that it doesn't meet my needs. The more I have, the more I realize that it actually doesn't meet my needs. It goes on in verse 11. He says, so what good is wealth, except perhaps to watch it slip through your fingers? Like it's here one moment and it's gone the next. You try to just get it, but something comes up and it actually doesn't. How much money do you need to have everything that you need? And it's never enough. It's just the reality. And then here's the last one. The more I have to worry about. Man, is this true? Verse 12, he says, but the rich seldom get a good night's sleep. Like the more you're responsible for, the more that comes into your possessions, the more that you have to steward and give an account for, the more things that you're trying to work. The more stress, and this isn't just money. This is true just in life. Like the more responsibility you have, the greater the job title that you have, the larger the house that you have, the nicer the vehicle the more fill in the blank that you have, really the more stress comes at you. This is why contentment is so good, because I think people, they're trying to constantly pursue and gain more and gain more. only to get there to be disappointed and find out that actually that pressure that you were under and the discontentment that you were under and the frustration that you were under, I could say it like this, the griefs and the pains that you were under, the things that were piercing you, they just become sharper and larger and more. That's all it is. And if you don't get this contentment thing right, if you don't take care of this internal thing, then it's only just going to be magnified. And it's so important. Like, I believe God, I said it a moment ago, I believe God does want us to be blessed. I believe in the reality, the truth that the Word does show. I think that we are supposed to be blessed to be a blessing. But it's to be a blessing. I remember a pastor told me one time, I was sitting at this conference and at this table, and he had he was really, really cool pastor. I love this guy. He's sitting there, and it's one of those pastors, one of those guys, like if you get to sit next to them at like a lunch table, you're like, wow, like this is amazing. Like this is a dream come true. I get to just chat and talk with this person. I only ever, hear him from a platform. And he had these sunglasses sitting on the table, and I don't know what I was thinking. I was just being stupid and goofy. I sat there and I was like, hey, you want to be a blessing? And hooked me up with those sunglasses. And he just kind of looked at me like, one of those looks where like, I don't know what I was thinking. I forgot the table I was sitting at right now. We're not in that kind of a relationship. And I remember, we're in this lunch, and then the person that was leading this lunch kind of meeting, he prayed over everybody. And I'm feeling like just so stupid. I mean, it was like probably like 5 or 10 minutes into like before we're ending. And I'm like, oh man, looking for my exit. Like I got to get out of here fast. And I kind of glance over, and while we're praying, he's staring at me. Like this guy is just staring. But like with this look of like, I'm going to kill you. Like, how dare you? Like the most inappropriate thing to do right now is to try to ask me for my sunglasses? Are you kidding me right now? So we end, and I get up, and he's still looking at me, and I'm like, hey, Pastor, I'm not going to say his name. Hey, I'm so sorry. That was stupid. I don't know what I was thinking. I was dumb. And he stops me, and he grabs those sunglasses, and he says, here. And I was like, no, I don't want them, because you're not happy about this, and you're going to cut me or something. Like, I don't know. And he said, no, here. And he said, because I want to be a river, not a pond. And I just thought, what? And he said, take them. I want you to take them. I don't want to be a river, not a pond. I thought, yeah, me too. Yeah, I want to be a river. Yeah. And he said, and then he shared with me how he got those glasses and how they were a gift to him. How he was blessed by them. And he said, I'm not going to hold on to things in my life. And I was like, yeah. So he said, so when the opportunity comes, I want you to be able to do the same thing. I said, yeah, because I want to be a river, not a pond. It was maybe about a year later, maybe not even that. And people had commented on these glasses, and I looked them up. They were $500 pair of glasses. I was like, come on, man. And in my mind, I'm not giving these things up. And they got stolen at church. They got stolen at church backstage where all the team members, I'm like, who stole my glass? And I just remembered that statement, though. I want to be a river, not a pond. And I thought, I can't get mad, one, because I didn't buy these. These were given to me. But the word that was given to me with it was don't become a pond. Like, look for opportunities to give. And I realized at that moment the guy was not looking at me because he was angry. He was looking at me like that because he was trying to impart something to me. And something had happened in his heart to where he had his internals correct. And I realized that I had not gotten my internals correct yet. And I think it's because when you're in a place and you're feeling under pressure and you're stressed and you feel like you're just never, listen, when you don't have with food and clothing, I'm content, taken care of, you never have enough. And then the little bit that you do have, even when you didn't earn it, when it was just given to you, even with the mandate or a word to, hey, put this as a part of your life, you just can't do it. And so you're constantly looking and constantly thinking that if I just have more, it's going to make everything better. And Solomon shows us here in Ecclesiastes that you don't. And here's what I learned. You can write this down, that peace is not circumstantial. It's internal. I think as the Lord has blessed us as we've progressed in life and gotten older, and the more that God has given us, the more my wife and I, we look back on the days when our first apartment, you had to walk up about 50 stairs to get to that apartment. Like literally, I'm not even exaggerating on that one. It's about that was the first floor, everybody. And we walked into this apartment, and we were just so excited back then that we had a little 2-bedroom apartment, and the heat was free. I mean, you need some heat in Michigan, but we'd be excited about the fact that we could just pump our heat all day, and we didn't have to pay for it. Like we were just so thankful, even though like it smelled like the apartment above us was a meth lab. I mean, it was just like it was a horrible apartment. We had our daughter in there. But listen, in that small little tiny apartment it just looked like no one should live there. I'm just going to tell you, like it was a bad place. And we had our little daughter, but we were able to house 2 other people in there at a time and have gatherings in that little place and just make some memories in that place. And we look back at that at times, and we look at all the things that we've got to take care of now with what the Lord has blessed us, and we go, man, those days were nice. Nice, just the simplicity of life. And in the midst of even at that season, really not having enough always, not being able to afford a better apartment. I mean, it was when we were believing for just a better apartment, let alone a house, but just hoping that we could afford a better apartment and take care of just a little bit that we, in the midst of all that, there was just this peace in our home. And I want to encourage us and help us and pray that in this Christmas season, as so many are focused. I mean, we just came out of Black Friday on Friday. It's not even Black Friday anymore. It's Black Thursday, and then it's like Gray Wednesday. You know what I'm saying? Like they just start building it all up. And then there's Cyber Monday, and then, right, it's just, by the way, they just, half the time they hike up the prices and tell you it's a deal anyway. My wife proved it to me the other day. She's like, see, I told you. I'm not going to go get it, but I'm just saying it's this internal thing, and this is what I believe God is trying to help us, is let's get the internal right so that the external doesn't move us, good, bad, or indifferent. Just doesn't move us. Can I get an amen on that? Anybody? Okay, so let me read this next, and this is where I want to kind of bring it to a head here. I love what Psalm 62 says. It says, and here's maybe a word for somebody, but yes, my soul find rest in God. Just find rest in Him. Let me just tell you, the stuff is not what's going to give you rest. It may pay some bills. It may get you some nicer things, but it's not actually what's going to bring what you really want, which is that peace, which is that rest. The stuff doesn't do it. And that's really what's most important, is how are you doing internally? Right? Like Jesus said, what good is it if a man gains the whole world, get everything that you wanted and needed, and you were just going after, but in the end, you lose your soul? Like what does it really benefit you? How does it really help you if the peace and the rest in your life, if your connection to God just is not there, but you got all this other stuff that, by the way, fades. By the way, as soon as you get it, it starts to degrade. The sooner you get, right? I mean, as soon as you get it, they come out with a new one, come out with an upgrade. And what do? I want to put this thing down, I want to get another one. And you just get into this perpetual cycle of just, I want, and just never content, just never satisfied. She says, find rest in God, because my hope comes from Him. Truly, He's my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress, and I will not be shaken. My salvation and my honor depend on God, because He's my mighty rock, and He's my refuge. Trust in Him at all times, you people. Pour out your hearts to Him, because God is our refuge. Can I say it like this? Because the money's not your refuge. The stuff's not your refuge. God's your refuge. Surely the lowborn are but a breath, and the highborn are but a lie. Like, in other words, when you start to really look at everybody, regardless of their economic status or their social status, you just start to see that. In fact, he goes on and he says, if weighed on a balance, they're all nothing. Like, everything's the same when it comes down to it. Together, they're only a breath. So don't trust in extortion or put vain hope in stolen goods. I love this. Though your riches increase, don't set your hearts on them. And if you've ever lived, if you've been in a spot, if you're in a season where, like, you've just seen prosperity come, you've seen blessing come, you've seen increase come in your life, how easy it is to now all of your trust and all of your rest and all of your confidence and your safety net. Anybody heard that? Like, it's all in the stuff that you have increased in, and thank God for it. But don't set your hearts on them. Don't set your hearts on them. So what should we set our hearts on? Let me give you a few things, and then I'm going to get you out of here. Number one, set your heart on giving, not getting. Set your heart on giving, not getting. Acts 20:35 says this, you'll not likely go wrong if you keep remembering that our master said you're far happier giving than getting. Like, we think that just getting a bunch of stuff is really what's going to make. And I've grown in this, especially just being a dad, being a husband, is that I love to just see the smiles on the faces. I love to just see like my kids don't know it yet. Some of them about to find out, but we already got Christmas gifts just waiting. You know why? Because we were thinking about them in advance. Just saying, like, what do you want? Why? Because I want you blessed. I want to see you happy. I want to see you, right? I'm asking at the beginning of, hey, so what do you want for your birthday? What do you want for, like, we're asking those questions. Why? Because we found as parents and I found as a husband, like, it's better to give. I just want to see you happy. I want to see you blessed. It's not even so much. In fact, I have gotten to a place because I just say I'm not perfect in this, and this is something that the Lord truthfully really is working on me, but in some areas I have just grown content in some things to where, really, what do you want? I don't want anything. Like, you know what I really want right now? Because money can't buy it. Yeah. I just want a whole family. WHOLE, a whole. I want my family to be made whole. I'm just being true. You can't buy really what my heart's desire is. Is to be in really good relationship with all my siblings. And to spend a holiday around the table with all of them laughing. I want my whole family saved. Yeah. Amen. You can't buy that. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's just things that we think will make us happy, but actually they really won't. Especially, I think as you get older, you start to see things a little bit more clearly, and you just realize that stuff just doesn't really do it. I just spent a couple of $100 taking my kids to the movies, y'all. Merry Christmas, right? 2 Corinthians 9:11, I love what Paul says there. He says you're going to be enriched in every way so that you can be generous on every occasion. But I love this. And through us, so Paul's taking this offering from a church and bringing it to another church. And he says, and through us, your generosity, it's going to result in a thanksgiving to God. And this isn't just finances, by the way. It's not, I think when we think generosity, like giving, I think because we've been conditioned, automatically our mind we go to money. And I don't think that's all that God cares about. Because sometimes that's not the thing that you can be most generous with. Sometimes it's our time. Like, by the way, that's why we're doing the Serve Day in the middle of December, right in the Christmas holiday when everybody's all about gimme, gimme, gimme. And we're taking some time and we're going to say, I'm going to take this, what would normally maybe be a family day or a day where I just have to chill and it's all about replenishing me. And I'm going to take a few hours and I'm going to go around to our city not expecting anything in return. I'm going to give of my time. I'm going to give of some of my abilities and my talents. And I'm just going to bless some people that most likely are forgotten about, not really paid much attention to, the loneliest time for them. and I'm going to give them some of my time. That's why I'm asking our whole church, hey, be a part of this serve day that's happening next week, next Saturday. And let's give some of our time away to some people and watch them give thanks. Watch them give thanks. Because, it causes them to just acknowledge, man, someone's thinking about me. God's thinking. Can you just imagine if they were to find out that months in advance there was a group of people that were praying in a living room saying, how can we bless our city? And God put it on their hearts to send people their way so that they could be blessed and known that they're known. Do you see this? Number 2, set your heart on true riches. Set your heart on... What are true riches? True riches are things that last forever. There's only one thing that really lasts forever, and it's people. It's just people. Those are the true riches. And there's a story that's told in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 16. Jesus is talking about this servant, this master, this manager, you can't really trust him. He's given kind of a point to this whole lesson, this story. And he says this in verse 9. He says, I say to you, make friends for yourselves by unrighteous mammon. He's talking about just money, the thing that's not necessarily holy, but make friends for yourselves by unrighteous mammon. He's not talking about like buying friends, but just listen to this. He says that when you fail, they may receive you into an everlasting home. What is this? Wait a minute. When you fail, what's he talking about? He's not talking about money. He's actually talking about when you die. So that when you die and you go to heaven, these people that you impacted with your giving, with what you've done, they can receive you in heaven. It's not about trying to bribe people to being your friend. It's about what are you doing with what you have? The stuff that just doesn't matter. What are you doing with your time? What are you doing with your money? What are you doing with your stuff? What are you doing with your home? What are you doing with your car? What are you doing with your talent? What are you doing with your life? And are you using them, we could say like this, are you using them to make an eternal difference, like to really impact the lives around you? And Jesus is telling the story, and he's saying, listen, here's what you need to catch, that when you use this unrighteous mammon, this thing that maybe has even gotten a little twisted in our own hearts, like we've said it in a way that it shouldn't be, but when you use it for something righteous, like we use it to help people, to bless people, to make a difference in their lives, that when you fail, like when you're done with this earth and you go to heaven, you're going to see the impact of that decision to use what God has given you to make a difference in the lives of other people. Do you see this? So he says, and he who is faithful in what is least is faithful also in much, and he who is unjust in what is least is also unjust also in much. Therefore, if you have not been faithful in the unrighteous mammon, who will commit to your trust the true riches? Like if you're not handling this, if you don't get this thing right on the inside, how will you ever be able to make a real difference with what's most important? And if you have not been faithful in what is another man's, who will give you what is your own? No servant can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will be loyal to the one and despise the other. You can't serve both. You gotta choose. And here's number 3. Set your heart on heaven. Set your heart on heaven. Colossians 3 says, since then you've been raised with Christ, set your heart on things above, where Christ is, seated at the right hand of God. And set your minds on things above, not on earthly things. And so here's my question for all of us today, especially as we're getting into this season, is simply this: is where is your heart set? Like right now, in this moment, in this season, maybe all year, where's your heart set? Like where's our thinking? Where's our minds at? Are our minds set on above? Are our hearts set on the Lord, on heaven, on making a difference there? I've heard some people say to populate heaven. to raid hell and to populate heaven? Like, where's our mindset? Like, even on our jobs, even in our everyday life with our family, where's our heart set? Is our heart set so stuck on all this? Let me ask you, are you so caught up and concerned about, let me just talk about money for a moment, that's just driving and consuming so much of your thoughts that you're just weighed down, stressed out, maybe even making decisions that are taken away from more important things, piercing yourselves with griefs? Because I'm just thinking about that bottom line. Is your heart set on people? Is your heart set on family? Is your heart set on what really matters? It's those true riches. So I'm going to ask us to do this and get you out of here real soon here, but maybe just before we leave, maybe we can just take some time just before the Lord and just ask Him to, like the psalmist says, search my heart and show me if there's any wicked thing, anything that's off inside of me, and lead me into the path of life right now. You can just do that right now before we get out of here. Just take a moment and just say, God, search me. If there's anything in me, if there's anything in us that our hearts are set on things that could be piercing us, set on the wrong stuff in this season, trusting and trying to find refuge in stuff that really won't hold up. But even in the midst of maybe even financial stress that is real and coming at us and has been screaming, and maybe screaming even more right now, God, today we say that you are our refuge. And we speak to our souls. We say, find rest in God, soul, for my hope is in Him alone. God, this season, this month that we're entering into, we just afresh bring our hearts before you, our lives before you. Lord, if there's anything in us, any twistedness in there, any love for money, love for stuff that maybe has even blinded us, twisted us, corrupted us at all in our thinking, maybe even in how we hear people speak, God, we ask that you cleanse us. Cleanse our hearts, cleanse our minds, and set our hearts, set our eyes, set our minds on you. In fact, just say it. Say right now, say, God, I set my heart on you today. Yeah, we set our hearts on you today. God, we love you. We put all of our refuge and hope in you. In the mighty name of Jesus. Everybody said, big amen. Was this helpful for anybody today? I hope it was. Hey, let's all stand on our feet. I'm going to get you out of here. I just want to remind you of a couple things. Before I get you out, we do have prayer that will be available if you need prayer for anything, and I mean anything around here. Our prayer team is gathering over here at the fronts right now, and they'll be right here to pray for you. And then, hey, next week, Saturday, don't forget, we have our Serve Day, so make sure you check your emails and your texts to make sure you get those updates so that you know where we're doing and what we're doing and what time. And if you haven't signed up yet, go out in that lobby and sign up. Someone will be out there for you. And hey, invite somebody to church with you this season. Can you do that? All right, we love you, everybody. God bless you, and have an awesome week.